the culling process was the first thing that I outsourced. I literally outsourced it. It ended up costing me $60 and saving me like 2 full days. And I was like, holy okay, literally $60 is what I would do when I'm ordering like a pizza and wings for my husband, okay?
Yeah.
So I was like, we just won't order pizza and wings. Like, that's how I justified in my head. I was just like, but I literally just got 2 days back.
Yay, I'm here with Jessica.
Hello, hello.
And Jessica Little Photography, right? And we're sitting here in my living room on the floor because we tried to figure out how to video record this too and be comfortable at the same time. But I think we're cozy and comfortable.
I like it. Yeah. If I'm going to be comfortable, it's cross-legged on the floor. So
it's awesome.
Okay. Yeah.
And yeah, I'm so excited Jessica's my first guest in person. So it's my first time having a 2 mic setup. I'm using a different device that I've never used before.
No pressure.
Yeah. Our armpits are sweating right now. We had a brisk walk because Jessica's amazing. And what did you do?
What did I do?
You asked for...
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was like, we need some movement activity before we sit down and chat.
Yeah.
I feel like the outside just clears your head. So
yeah. And I love that you asked me that because over email, you're like, okay, I feel like if I come to your house and you're sitting in the car for a while and I know myself and I need energy flowing through my body to feel clarity. And I'm like, yes, I love that you asked to go for a brisk walk because I need the same thing.
Yeah. So. It wrecked both of our hairs.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Actually, no, yours still looks so good. I'm like, oh, natural. I'm like, all good. Whatever.
Oh, it looks great. You got that beach wave.
Yeah.
You got the beach
there you go.
All right, cool.
Yay. Well, I'm so excited to have you here, Jess. Like, you're going to, just for you coming out here and being open with your outsourcing journey, I really do believe it's going to help a lot of people find more clarity in how to have more freedom in their lives for the things that matter most to them. Yeah. So I'm so excited to catch up with you and hear everything because I know on our walk, I wanted to hear everything, but we're like, let's save it for the podcast. Yeah. So I cannot wait. But to start off with, I know that I definitely want to know more of your story. And so do our listeners because, it's always good to know the core behind a human and, connect with them more. So anything you feel like sharing, whether it's like the journey of how you got to where you are in your photography business, what you love about photography, how long you've been doing it, anything that pops into your head, feel free to share.
Yeah. So do you feel like a sense of renewal that it's a new decade?
Yes. Actually, I feel that every year, but a new decade is like on a whole nother level.
So looking back, my journey into photography actually started in 2010. And so I think like, wow, like there was like this whole like rattling that happened in my life because I was working 2 full-time jobs then and just randomly quit my job and went on the pursuit of photography. And now it's like 10 years later, I have like this same rattling happening that something needs to shake up in a way.
Yeah.
So that's obviously how I came to your outsourcing workshop. But so I'm Jessica. I am a professional photographer. I started my journey 10 years ago. It's been a long journey. So basically, I started photography because I was working 2 full-time jobs and I was burnt the frig out. I used to work in the special ed sector of things. So you can just imagine how much of myself I was giving to those students and adults and things like that. And so to be true to my heart and kind of my own creative endeavors, I quit and kind of started my journey. But then 10 years later, I felt
and
like...
How did you quit again? I remember you told me this part because it's pretty epic.
I had been taking actually like a night course just to like learn like the camera settings.
Yeah.
And, I had a break down and my husband was like, what do you want to do with your life? And I was like, I think I want to be a photographer. And he's like, okay, cool. And so I literally like just quit. I was just like, I'm not returning in September.
In a week, right?
Yeah, in
Amazing.
a week. Like I applied, just quit. I didn't even get accepted to the program yet. It was crazy. It was, but everything happened for a reason.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And so I kind of ventured into the photography world. And as I was kind of building things, obviously, giving so many hours and so much time. And 10 years later, I was like, whoa, like I left those 2 full-time jobs to have more freedom in my life. But here I am stuck in, this small little office all by myself. And my self-care was down, and I wasn't any kind of happier. And so that was like a decade. I'm like, man, that's 10 years. So literally I started feeling burnt out, and I was like, maybe this isn't what I want to do anymore. And so the love of photography was kind of drifting for me, because it wasn't so much about creating as it was spending all those freaking hours in front of the computer. And so I had been following you, and I was like, whoa, she's onto something. Like, I actually never really saw a course like that. Like, oh, like, how can you get actually more freedom by outsourcing in your business? And I'm like, yeah, like, what other business operates just by one person?
Yeah.
Not
That's
a
so
lot,
true.
right?
Yep.
And so, but I've heard you say it too. There was like these mind blocks that were like, yeah, but like, I'm the creative, and so I'm going to take away from my client's experience if I'm not editing their photos, which is total.
Yeah.
Now, right?
Yeah. We see that now. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's, is that who I am? That's who I am.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I love that you mentioned, you're like, is that who I am?
That's
There's
who I am.
definitely a lot
Like, I'm
more.
a lot of things. I am a mom and a wife and a Pisces, and dreamer.
And what do you love photographing most? Would you say?
Weddings and couples. And so if you look at my portfolio, you'll just see a lot of wedding work and documentary, and just kind of authentic to the vibe of a couple, and then proposals, which are just like, you can't get more documentary than that, gosh, right?
Those are,
so
heartfelt.
Yeah. Other than weddings, that's mostly what I do is proposals, because Niagara Falls is where I'm from, and everyone comes from all over the world to propose in front of the falls, and I think it's awesome.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that you mentioned that you recognized at one point in your life and career that, holy shit, 10 years went by and I'm still grinding as hard as when you left your job because you were grinding too hard and you were burnt out, right? And it felt like there was like no end in sight. I also had a similar experience where I was like, it hit me like, I've been doing this for like, so I would say I started outsourcing like 2 years ago. So maybe 7 years in, I was like, why am I still on the hamster wheel if I wanted to get into having my own business to have more freedom, but I'm still technically not fully free.
This doesn't feel free. Yeah.
And imagine, I don't know if you went through this also, but imagine shooting on weekends, working all day, like during the day on weekdays, having shoots in the evenings, client meetings in the evenings. When the hell do we have time for ourselves and our friends and family? Yeah. So it started off, at least for me, I was like, okay, I'm eliminating like weekend, like shoots only for weddings. So Sundays are like either for weddings or friends and family. And then I figured out a system to have less client meetings in person because I'm like, okay, I need my time back. Okay, let me up my pricing for engagement sessions so I have less evenings to shoot that. So I was doing all these things, but that still wasn't enough because I was like editing for hours upon hours and all of this stuff. So is that kind of like how you felt too? You like tried different ways, or like how is your journey to
so before like outsourcing, I thought, oh, the only way to get back time is to take less bookings, right? But then if you take less bookings, you're making less money. And so I'm like, well, what the frick, I can't do that. So I felt stuck. I felt like there's no, like, I guess this is the norm, right? Like, I guess this is what you do. But I have a little boy at home, and he's 4, and it's so crazy that he's already 4. But I look back on like when he was first born, and I went back to working post C-section 6 weeks after. Wow. And bringing him into this world. And I still was working around the clock, and it was just like, man, something has to give. And so the last couple of years, I'm just like, something has to give. And I literally was like Googling like jobs. Like I was like, I need to make a career change. I need to, take less bookings, like all of these things. So that's what I would do.
That's how you felt.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so interesting. Thanks for sharing that perspective. Because my perspective was like, where can I shave off, like be more strategic with like, how can I eliminate client meetings, let's say, or this or that? But you even went to a point of thinking that you had to shoot less in order to work less. And I hear that a lot of photographers. I see it online in like photographers groups. They're like, guys, next year I'm taking on like less weddings, maybe 12 because it's just too much. But man, I just want to show them. I'm like, first of all, we got into photography because we love photography.
Yes,
So why do we want to shoot less of what we're passionate about?
Yeah.
Secondly, shooting is what brings us the most income.
100%. Yeah.
So if we shoot less, we make less money.
Yeah.
But the whole beauty of it is that when we outsource more, we make more money because then we can actually take on more weddings.
But like as in booking a wedding, it's not just like, oh, that Saturday. It's like you look at that couple and you're like, I'm going to give you like 80 hours.
Yeah.
Right? You're just so like true. With meetings and, interactions and then editing and final production and album design. And it was like, whoa, like if every couple was 80 hours and you're shooting 30 weddings, that's too much time. Right?
Actually, did you find at some point in your career that your brain was tricking you into believing, oh yeah, one more wedding and that'll just be like a day of shooting and a little bit of editing?
Yeah.
Like I think a lot of us photographers, like I know a lot of photographers probably like overbook and then do all the editing, culling, everything. And then they're like, how did this happen? I just wanted that one extra wedding to make more money. Right. Yeah. So yeah, that whole brain fooling us can be interesting
and
too.
I did actually kind of like climb my prices because I was like, oh, if I just like charge a little bit more, then maybe I can take less or whatever. Yeah. I did try other things. Yeah. But it's like, no, I'm actually charging standard, industry standard now. And it's like, but.
And still,
still.
So much burnout. Yeah.
Outsourcing.
So I would love to know, how has your life and business shifted after implementing outsourcing?
So I still feel like I'm getting into it, right? Okay. Because I just took your course in October, right? Yeah. And I feel like, you can't like change all the things. It's like when you're like starting to change your diet, you can't just crash course your whole life, right? Like, come on. Yeah. And I'll be honest, there's certain things in my business that I've always outsourced. So like I've never done my own bookkeeping or accounting, like ever. I just thought like that is for a professional, not me. Yeah. But then it's like, but so is other aspects, right? Like content writing. I have a writer that I work with just a little bit part-time. Yeah. And website and design work, that's always been outsourced for me because I was like, I don't know anything about that. But it was the culling and editing that I was like, no, like I'm the photographer. That's supposed to be my thing. Yeah. Right? Yeah. And so that was what drew me to your course the most because I was like, okay, but how do you train somebody? Yeah. How do you train somebody? What's the process of this? And, like that's the most time sucking, especially wedding photography. It's like the culling process was the first thing that I outsourced because I was like, I am so indecisive sometimes. So it's like you look at like, say 3,000 to 4,000 images and you're like, okay, but like back and then this and like, what's the difference here? And, and it's like the same moment, but you're drawn to, a certain image a certain way. And there's this formula that's going on in your head. But I would just be so indecisive. Yeah. So that was the first thing I outsourced. And I was like, I literally outsourced it. It ended up costing me $60 and saving me like 2 full days. And I was like, holy shit. I told you I was going to swear.
I love that you swore. I love it. That was like a big one. I love it.
I was like, okay, literally $60 is what I would do when I'm ordering like a pizza and wings for my husband. Okay. Yeah. So I was like, we just won't order pizza and wings. Like that's how I justified in my head. I was just like, but I literally just got 2 days back and I was like, okay, Sarah. Yeah, right. Yes. And then I had always known about the image salon, but I was like, oh yeah, but again, like how am I going to train them? Like what's this process going to be? Or maybe I'm too nice to be like, yeah, I didn't really like how you did that, which I'm just like, no, like I'm going to, it's my job to teach them how to do it in my way. Yeah. So yeah, fuck, it's just like so much time back. And I like just energy and like just the love of creating again and not being like burdened by another wedding. Like you're not like, oh God, I have to shoot again this Saturday. And then I start the process all over again with culling and editing. And I'm going to be at my desk for like 60 hours this week. And maybe I'm not going to make it to my volleyball game because, I need to edit this wedding. Yeah. So, that sense of freedom that I have been looking for 10 years is finally like coming into my life. And I'm just like, this is it.
I love, oh my gosh, that point that you said is so important of like, not because I'll be 100% honest. I got to a point where I was starting to be resentful. Yes. And I think our couples deserve so much more than us 100%. Going into a wedding resentful, low energy. Yeah. like they deserve our absolute best. So we need to take care of ourselves first in order to be able to give that.
Absolutely.
And it's like, and there even came a point where I was like confused. I'm like, do I still love, like you said, do I still enjoy photography, or is it just like, what is it? And I just became resentful of how it took me away from me wanting, like you said, wanting to play volleyball, because I play volleyball too. And for 7 years, I didn't play sports because I didn't have the time. But now the last 2 years I've committed. I'm like, every single season, I'm going to play volleyball once a week on evenings. And like, it's just, now I feel so much more energized. Now I can give more to couples and people, and that's what they deserve. Right. Yeah. I'm so happy to hear that. I love your enthusiasm.
Life
You're like,
changing.
oh my God. Yeah. And it's just the beginning. Cause like,
it's just the beginning.
You said you've gotten like like positively addicted to outsourcing, right?
Yeah. Cause you're just like, okay, well that only cost me $60, but it saved me 2 days. Well then editing, is a little more expensive cause, obviously it's more work. But that saves me another like day or two. And it's like, holy moly, now it's like I easily just gained a week back of your time. And really, if you think about it, like time is the real currency here,
exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
You know that.
Yeah. So I want to keep things real here because I know that what I teach is very simple. There's beautiful, clear systems and workflows in place to make outsourcing successful. Yeah. But at times it's not easy because it actually takes action and work and being in action, right? So I would love to know, like, what was the most challenging part for you maybe with implementing some of the outsourcing so far? Like, have you had any challenges? And maybe not yet, but was there anything that was challenging, maybe mindset wise or anything like that?
I think, mind blocks, right? It was like when I was first, like I actually almost didn't even attend your course your workshop because of a mind block saying like, oh, I can't spend money on another course. You know what I mean? But I was just like, but I need to hear this. Like I need to know because I just felt like, this is going to change my business and my life.
When the student is ready, the teacher will appear.
Yes. So just releasing those mind blocks of like, I can't afford it or, no one's going to do this as good as me. But literally like I just went for it. Like I was just like, I'm going to just put this job posting out on a couple photography sites and pleasantly surprised. Yeah. Somebody I knew, a mutual like friend in the industry, she does like more like family documentaries. So she's not really into weddings, but she has that documentary feel to her work. Yeah. So she was like, I'd love to call for you.
That's awesome.
I'm like, sweet. So like, it's just worked out.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And did you also, were you going to say something else?
I was.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
So another thing I outsource is a little bit of content writing for my blog. Yeah. And the challenge with maybe outsourcing that I could chat about is like knowing when to fire.
Oh, knowing when to let go. Yeah.
I had a different writer for like a year and it just wasn't working. It's not that she wasn't good or anything. It just wasn't working. Yeah. And I just kept holding on to her because I'm just like, oh, I'm going to hurt her feelings. Yep. And I was like, nope, like you're not for me. Yeah. And by releasing her, it's like, you're going to find your person. Right. So.
That's really good. I went through that same experience a couple of years ago too, so I know how that feels. Yeah. But it feels like kind of a weight lifted off your shoulders.
What do they say? Like hire slow, fire fast. Yeah. And you're like, but what if like she just needed time? Yeah. But I gave her a year. Right?
Yeah.
That's a lot of time.
Yeah. There comes a point where you can instinctually know, like as long as you have done everything on your end that you learn like in the course on what to do, like how to be 100% responsible, then you're like, okay, it's just not the right fit, right? Mm-hmm. So that's definitely, it's a part of outsourcing. Could be a challenge, but that's also life, right? It's not perfect. There are some uncomfortable situations in life anyway, and I'm like, I'd rather have that uncomfortable situation than being burned out. Uncomfortable situation.
Which is like, burnout bleeds into like your personal life,
exactly,
too, right? And your marriage, and your kid, and so
I'm also wondering. So was it easier for you to outsource than you expected?
It came more naturally than I thought. So I'm just like, oh, I'm going to put this job posting here, but with the anticipation of maybe I would have to like interview a few people. Maybe I'd have to go through a few people to like find the right one. And it was just like posting, within like a couple minutes, this girl appeared, and like it's just been wonderful. And I was like, well, that was too easy.
Yeah.
So no, it hasn't been difficult at all.
That's awesome.
The most of the thing, like the most kind of difficult is like, now what? Yeah. You know? Yeah. And it's like, okay, well, like don't get too ahead of yourself, right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
And so far, what have you outsourced? You mentioned culling.
Since taking your workshop?
Yeah.
Yeah. So culling, editing, and then actually I have an intern starting Thursday.
Oh, nice.
And so that's so weird because, again, the universe works in mysterious ways, right? So like by just having a conversation with a wedding coordinator at a venue about just like getting into, you know, this other realm of my business, she's like, hey, yeah, I have this cousin who wants to get into photography. We had a coffee date and she's just like, I'm like, I can't really afford to like hire you on as like, you know, and pay you a crazy amount of money. And she's like, literally, like, I can't afford to take your mentoring or your workshops. So can we swap? And I was like, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yes, you can. And so, yeah, she's coming on as like an intern, like 1 or 2 days a week, which I anticipate giving her like some like VA kind of like assistant kind of a task or that busy work of like creating slideshows or prepping blogs or something like that.
Or post office runs, wrapping client packaging,
all that
digitizing receipts, like so many things. Cooking for you. Why not? I would take it there if they wanted to.
Oh, I do hire someone to clean my house.
Yeah.
Deep clean my house.
Great.
Once a month.
Great.
Because I'm just like, it's wonderful.
That's
even
also,
those little small tasks, and you're just like, wow, that's not that much money.
Yeah, if you think about how much time, and especially like again, like we talked about how our time is our most valuable asset. Yeah. So if let's say it takes you 6 hours to deep clean your house, right? If in that 6 hours you could maybe, you know, like market. Go on Instagram, market yourself more, do a couple more posts, put together a blog post that then you maybe outsource to your VA to actually post, like something like that. That creates more, like you'll have more inquiries, which could create more income.
Right.
Much more income than the $150 you're spending on the outsourcing the deep clean, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Or you could go have a day off and work out and take care of your soul, and then you have more energy to serve your clients better. So yeah. It's just the best.
Wonderful.
So I would love to know, like, would you, because I know there's so many people that are on the fence on outsourcing, because I've been there, you've been there, right? It's just that part of our journey, I think, as business owners, right? Is there any advice that you would have for photographers that are on the fence?
Start with like a huge task list, all the things that you do, like in like your life and your business, and then like circle the ones that you loathe.
I love that.
Start with like, circle the ones you're just like, oh, like that sucks my energy. Yeah. And so start there, right? And start with one, and then one will become two, and just kind of get your feet wet. But once you get your feet wet, you're just gonna dive right in. So
I love that you're such a nerd about this now, just like me. You're like, what can I outsource next?
I love it when I was like, I just love your whole mission, because I don't see a course like this. I don't see like people talking about like freedom in this way. Everyone, there's all this noise about like hustle and work and grind yourself. And it's like, oh, yuck.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And like, it's okay. I think that there's seasons for that, right? Like
totally.
If you're starting to grow a photography business, there's something to be said about, you know, going through all of those processes and really learning how to properly call and how to properly edit before you outsource that, right?
100%.
Like anything in your business, it's like you should be the master of that task before you kind of delegate it to somebody else. That's what I think anyway.
And I think, for example, I think it's true for some things. So I totally understand your perspective. Like, for example, editing, like I feel like we do need to know it a little bit more, and culling, like we need to cull so we could see how we can improve our work too.
Right.
But maybe a thing like let's say actually posting a blog post into Squarespace, technical things technically don't have to be mastered. Sure. So for example, like I paid my VA to take an SEO course so that I don't have to learn SEO, and then they just do SEO for me. It's just like because I actually thought at one point, I thought at one point that I was like, I should master SEO too. Like, I need that for my business. I should know it. But there's a point where it's like, I think we need to master our photography.
Yes.
The way we like our photos edited, our culling.
Yeah.
But then past that, is there anything else? Like, of course, like prompts with our couples, like things like, but like, is there anything that you could think of as a photographer that you think we need to hold on to?
No, I guess just all of that creative aspect of it. Because even just like in the last 10 years of like editing my photos, it's like you hone in on like a style, right? And a lighting that you like. And that's like a learning curve that happens in that. I'm going to sneeze. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Go for it.
Real life. We're good.
Oh, I was gonna do the bitch thing and just like go and plug your nose and like take away your sneeze. I hate it when Rory does that to me. I'm just like,
I just did that to myself.
You did it to yourself.
I'm like, I feel it coming. Okay.
That's impressive. You just kept going. Oh, that's awesome.
Okay. Swearing on the podcast.
What were we talking about?
Sneezing. Just the process, like the creative process of being a photographer. So like, posing your couples, like,
and getting to know your editing system.
Because even image selecting and culling, it's like in the years, that's why, like, just like you, we were more posy, but now we're more documentary. Because like those were the images in the culling process where I was like, yes, my heart's on fire. Yes, you know?
Yeah.
And so I'm just like, no, I want to create more of that.
Yeah.
And so I just think like if there's a new photographer listening, I just think that they need to sit in that season for growth.
A little,
And then, you know, but there's things in your business that you could be outsourcing right away.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so. Cool. I love that. And actually, something that you mentioned that I wanted to touch on is kind of, I think we were talking about, outsourcing like the house cleaning. I think that's what brought it up, but kind of like how hard work doesn't equal like our worth too. Yes. Like we don't have to hustle also to feel worthy of getting paid.
Yes.
That's something that I think a lot of people feel like, oh, but what if my clients, I hear this a lot, like what if my clients find out that I'm outsourcing my editing or culling, like what are they even paying for?
Right.
And I felt that way too at one point. I felt scared. I felt scared to say it out loud. I felt all of that. But when I finally realized my value is me showing up, me knowing how to document those moments, me making people feel comfortable on the day of,
that correspondence and relationship.
The connection. And then in the end, delivering the actual memories, that is your worth. Like you're creating those memories for people and showing people how much they're loved. Yeah. Like how big is that? And as soon as I started kind of openly saying to my couples, if they would ask me on like sessions, they'd be like, oh, so are you going to go home and like edit these? I'd be like, oh, actually, no, I've trained someone to do that. I just found that after a while, it was just like a system. It was like a formula. I was doing the same thing over and over again. And I was just like, I didn't have any time for myself or my friends and family. So I ended up training someone. That's the way I explain it. Right. And they're like, that's amazing. Like, good for you. Yeah. And as soon as I got that reaction, I felt so like permission that I could just share it with the world in a way. Because I know a lot of photographers are scared of that. And I totally understand that. So I just wanted to go off and just be like, our hard, like we don't have to work hard to like feel like we deserve our money.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
And so kind of talking about your little afterworld after outsourcing, what are some of your favorite benefits that it's created?
Just the zest, just the energy, like the zest for life that's back into everything. Just the hard realizations of like, like I don't have to like say no to 10 more couples this year. I can like take them on, you know, if it feels good and they match, you know, my vibe. And just the energy and zest. And I'm just like, oh, like I still do love photography because, you know, when you're burnt out, it's easy to be like, this isn't what I thought it was going to be. This is like sucking you know, the life out of me. This is the taking away from like, you know, me being able to have, you know, the energy to run with my son. And because if you're spending all that time at a desk, my body was literally physically like, I'm crippling myself.
Yeah.
Like it literally felt like my hips. I was like, you can do all the yoga in the world, girl. Yeah. But if you're sitting for 80 freaking hours, like, I don't think you can do all the yoga in the world.
Yeah. And then your back. Oh my gosh. My like shoulders from like being on the mouse for so long, killing me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, well, I'll just up my massages. Yeah. No, this is like literally what happened last year. I was like, I'm going to do a massage every week. And then I was like, okay, if I'm spending $400 on massages or $200 on massages, why don't I just take that money, outsource, get all that time back, and now I only have to have one massage a month. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, obviously,
that's really cool. That's a cool point too. Yeah.
So it was just like because I feel like money was my biggest thing, right? I was just like, oh man, but that's like more money I have to output, right? But just in realizing like maybe that's just a pizza night with my husband that I'm giving up. But I'm like that never really happened. Yeah. Like, you know, obviously. But I was just like, really, I can give up like pizza and chicken wings to like have 2 days of my life back, right?
But the beauty is, in a way, you don't actually have to give it up because you'll have more wedding bookings, which can be like around $3,000 to $5,000 each.
Yes, even just sessions, right? Yeah. So like I do like proposals, and those are like commissioned at like $400 or $500. So it's like, well, I would say no if like my week was just jam packed, or I was tired, or I was like, no, I don't want to shoot anymore, because shooting more means editing more and culling more and more time at my computer. So I would say no. And now I'm like, like bring them
and
on.
more of us doing what we love, shooting and being around love and energy and
So legit, I think I've made more money. Even just in the last couple of months, I'm like, sweet.
And I cannot wait for an update in a year where it's like you'll be like even making even more money. I'll be like, yes, Jess.
Yes.
Oh, that rhymed. Now I'm a rapper.
You are.
Yes, Jess.
Get it, girl.
Oh my gosh. Okay, that was amazing. Like, thank you so much for sharing everything.
Thank you.
Is there anything else that you feel like is coming to you that you want to get off your chest that you want to say? Otherwise, I think we've covered so much amazing stuff.
No, I think that's it. It's just, I just think if anyone's on the fence to just start, just start, because, you know, in the industry, it's like you hear like, oh yeah, that person closed up, or that person had to go and get another job. But it's just like, but if they could just start treating their business as an actual business, like it's like, I think as creatives, it's hard for us to be like, put that business hat on sometimes, right? Because we're just like, no, like, I don't know, this is going to sound stupid, but it's like creatives sometimes are like, oh, that like mopey poet, you know? And it's like, oh, but you don't have to be sad to be good at this, or you don't have to be like, do all of the things to like diminish your art, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
So even if we were painters, we would have somebody helping us sell them, right? Yeah. Or whatever. Yeah. I don't know. Sculpture.
Yeah. It's so
musician,
true. Yeah, like, we don't have to do it all to be worthy of getting paid and recognize that we are still the artist.
Yeah. And it doesn't like downplay our talent. So.
Exactly. Yeah. Because in the end, like for example, if I don't edit my photos, I chose how I want them edited and I just trained someone how to do it. So it's still my edit. It's still my preset. Yeah. It's like, so I still feel like the artist.
The biggest aha moment in your workshop was like, oh no, like it is just a formula after all. Yeah. Right. And so like, maybe I went through a few different things like over the years, but now it's like, I'm just doing the same systematical things. Right. Yeah. So I can teach somebody else to do that. Yeah. So
it's awesome. Yay.
Thanks, Sarah.
Thanks so much, Jess. And so I want to make sure that people know where they can connect with you, if they really connected with you, where they can find you. So either your social, your podcast.
Oh God. Dun, dun, dun. So on social, I'm at Jessica Little Photography on pretty much everything, but I have a podcast launching.
Yay, tomorrow
at Candid
on her birthday.
Yeah. Oh God. Oh man, I have so much work to do.
But say the name of the podcast again.
Candid Happiness with Jessica Little.
Awesome. And what do you love to talk about on your podcast?
Oh, self-empowerment, self-love, just, being brave enough to redefine your life. And I think in a way, it's like in the last 6 months, that's exactly what I've done. And that's what I did 10 years ago. And it's coming full circle. And it's what I'm doing now. So, yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So I hope you enjoyed that chat I had with Jessica. I know I did. It was so nice to have someone in person to connect with, and also to see actual results in people's lives with something that I have been able to implement in my life, and then teaching it, and then actually it creating a ripple effect in other photographers' lives. So it made me so happy to hear her story. Also, I would love to invite you again to take the online quiz to help you figure out your next steps in this outsourcing journey that you can take, so you can have more freedom and time and money in your life too. So please head over to sarahmonica.com/quiz to figure out your next steps. And also, I would love to hear from you if you got a new perspective or a lot of value out of this episode. So please feel free to DM me on Instagram at sarahmonicaphoto. That's Sarah, no H, Monica with a K. Or even Jessica. Jessica would love to hear from you if you got a lot of value out of her story, because I'm sure it'll help inspire her to share even more, to help even more photographers too. So anyway, thanks so much for tuning in. I'm so grateful for you and hope you have an amazing rest of your day. Yay! Thank you so much for hanging out with me and tuning into this episode. If you got value out of it, please feel free to message me on Instagram at sarahmonicaphoto. That's Sarah, no H, Monica with a K, photo, to let me know. I get so freaking energized hearing from others that what I've said has had a positive impact on their lives. Also, make sure to hit subscribe to the Shine and Thrive podcast to never miss an episode. I'm so grateful for you, and I'm sending you all the productive vibes your way so you have the best week ever.